everybody and welcome back to my true crime channel. I hope you're all well and having a good day. Today I want to talk about the mysterious death of a man called Robert Lowery and whether Brian Laundrie is involved in this man's death. So Robert Lowery, also known as Bob, was a 46-year-old man from Texas in the US. He's recently been found dead, and interestingly, and also quite worryingly to me, his body was located around 45 miles from where Gabby Petito's body was discovered. So what I'm wondering is Brian Laundrie involved in this man's death? Now, we all know that Brian the Dirty Laundrie makes my skin crawl, but we all know at the same time, not just that he makes our skin crawl, that he went hitchhiking, and he hitchhiked with a number of different people. One of the people that he hitchhiked with claims that Brian had said he'd been hiking in the very same area that Robert or Bob had also been hiking. Apparently they were both in the same location. I find that really worrying. Wherever Brian Laundrie seems to go, dead people keep turning up. I'm finding it extremely concerning, and I'm beginning to wonder, is Brian the Dirty Laundrie a serial killer? I have covered it in another one of my videos, but the fact that the couple, Kylan and Crystal, died and were found dead on August the 18th in Moab, or on the outskirts of Moab in Utah, and knowing that these ladies went missing on the 13th of August, and Brian stayed in a motel very near to where their bodies were found, and extremely near to where one of them worked, the Moonflower Co-op in Moab, and this is where the argument with Brian and Gabby started, that erupted onto the street, or onto the sidewalk, that was called into the police by a witness called Christopher. So there's a dead couple, Crystal and Kylan, there's a dead man called Robert. Another dead person was found in the swamp area in Florida where they were looking for Brian. There are quite a lot of other people missing in the Tetons. There are quite a lot of other people that have gone missing in the areas that Brian and Gabby visited on their trek across the USA. And not only that, a lot of other people have turned up dead in some of the other states that they visited. Now, yes, it could just be a coincidence, but this dead man, Robert, the dead couple, Kylan and Crystal, Gabby being dead, Brian being very near to all of these people at some point in time in August this year, gives me the creeps, really makes my skin go cold, and makes me wonder, is that Dirty Laundrie a serial killer? So Bob Lowery was last seen on August the 20th this year, and when Robert or Bob Lowery was last seen, he was carrying a Nike duffel bag, a grey tent, and he was seen to be wearing a Pittsburgh Pirates baseball cap. The father from Houston in Texas had travelled to the Canyon Trail in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and his remains sadly were found a month later at the base of Teton Pass. Now, Teton Pass is somewhere that Brian Laundrie is supposedly meant to have been. He's meant to have been in the very same area that Robert was in. To me, this stinks. This makes me wonder, is Brian responsible for this man's death? And could Brian be responsible for many other people's deaths? So Bob was last seen by witnesses at the Black Canyon Trail at 2:45 p.m. and apparently he was sitting on a big rock as he was hiking up the trail. It's a 12-mile trail with no campsites, lots of wilderness, and if he'd wanted to set up a camp, he would have had to have gone off the path where he was. He was sitting on the trail and seen by a couple of members of the public who took a photograph of the local area, which gave a date stamp of the 20th of August and a time of 2:45 p.m. So two hikers saw Rob at the Black Canyon Trail. They contacted the sheriff after seeing Bob's image and recognising him from the Nike bag that he had with him. They exchanged hellos that day when they saw each other, and the couple didn't think anything more of it. The couple then hear about Gabby Petito's case on the news, and hear about Robert in amongst a report about Gabby, and about Robert being missing and Gabby being missing, presumably before Gabby's been found. This is where they are alerted to the fact that they have seen this man, Robert, and they let the sheriff know. They said that day they only saw 3 other people, and one of them was Bob. They indicated that they weren't sure if Bob was tired or if he was just having a rest and was thinking. So the Teton County Sheriff's Office have announced that they do believe the body found matches the description of Robert, but the authorities in America have not yet revealed if it is Robert, but sadly, it does look like it is. So from what I can gather about Robert, he left his home in Houston after leaving a job as a real estate agent. He had a new job to go to, and he decided before starting his new job to go on various camping and hiking trips across the USA before starting a new business venture. Family members became extremely concerned about Robert's welfare when he stopped contact with his 2 children, who he'd been in contact with every day of his travels. Now, to me, it's perfectly possible that they could have met. I personally think that Gabby may have been dead for longer than people believed at first. I do believe potentially Brian killed her on the evening of the 27th, after they've had the row at the restaurant that we're all aware of, where Brian was abusive to Gabby and at least 1 or 2 members of the staff at this restaurant. I think he killed her on that day, and I do wonder now if potentially before killing Gabby, could he have met Robert on one of his hikes where he's gone off on his own, and did he kill Robert as well as Gabby? So in the next couple of days, I would imagine the authorities in the US will let us know potentially if this was a homicide or not regarding Robert Lowery or Bob Lowery. If it is a homicide, I really can't see how the authorities in America cannot look into Brian Laundrie. There is potential that he's involved. I know it's 45 miles between the 2 bodies of Gabby and that of Robert, but to me, that isn't that much of a distance. Now, there's nothing to say that Brian didn't go off by himself during the time that he was away travelling with Gabby. Now, we know from witness reports that Brian was seen in a bar, at least one bar by himself, acting weirdly, acting aggressively, like the dirty laundry likes to do. So who's to say that Brian didn't go regularly hiking on his own, leaving Gabby behind, potentially to speak to her family or friends, potentially to do the editing for her YouTube videos or for her blogs? And was Brian going off secretly murdering people during this trip across America, knowing that they had to travel all them hundreds and hundreds of miles back to Florida, and potentially Brian was going to be long gone before any of these people's bodies were found, therefore getting him out of the shit? Now, I can't be certain that Brian Laundrie killed Robert, but what I do feel certain of is that Brian Laundrie killed gabbypetito and that Brian Laundrie definitely killed Kylan and Crystal. They are just my thoughts, guys. Obviously, it's just my opinion and I could be wrong, but I do feel Brian killed Gabby. I do feel Brian killed Kylan and Crystal. I do now wonder whether Brian killed this man Robert, and not only that, could Brian have killed many others? I do wonder. I wonder where he is. I wonder if he's committed any more murders while he's been missing or on the run, whichever way you want to put it. Personally, I'd like to call it on the run. I don't feel that he's missing. He's pretty pathetic. So Brian Laundrie, if you happen to be watching my video, I've got a message for you. You're a loser. You're pathetic. You're a scumbag. You're a dirty laundry. Your whole family are a joke. You're horrible. You don't even deserve to be called a human being. You make me feel sick. If you did kill Gabby, which I believe you did, it's time you handed yourself in, cough up the information that you know to the police, give Gabby's family some kind of closure. The poor people are probably never going to have closure after what you did to their daughter, but at least tell the truth, hand yourself in, stop this stupid pretense. I really hope the dog catches you, because that would be hilarious. That would be so funny. Hopefully he kicks your ass as well. Sooner or later you are going to get caught, Brian. Sooner or later your time is going to be up. Sooner or later you're going to go to prison. It's either that or you're going to stay on the run for the rest of your life. And the fact that the whole world and the whole of America especially are looking for you, your chances are pretty slim of remaining on the run. So I advise you now to stop this rubbish. Stop this bullshit, Brian. Hand yourself in. Tell the truth. And be a man. Now, from what I can gather from Gabby's family, Gabby was known to go off for a few days at a time without communicating with family or friends. Not always, but it had been known. So could it be, in my opinion, during the trip with Brian, did the couple have periods of days where they didn't see each other? Did Brian go camping as well as trekking or hiking on his own across these places in America that they visited? And could it be that during the times that they're separated, Gabby perhaps doing her own thing with her editing and her blogs? So could it be when separated, Brian goes off killing people, poor Gabby is in the van doing her editing and working on her blog, working on their future together, while Brian is off on a murder spree around the rest of the US? Now, I could be wrong, but during their time in Wyoming, Brian is supposedly meant to have left, travelled to a completely different state and gone drinking in a bar without Gabby. Now, I'm not saying a man can't go drinking in a bar by himself. There's nothing wrong with that. But I found it odd at the time that a couple on a travelling trip across America or the United States by themselves wouldn't go drinking together. Perhaps you do need to have a break from each other if you're stuck in a small van together for 2 months. But I do wonder, how often was Brian going off by himself? How often was Brian killing other people? And how long has Brian Laundrie been a killer? So I've got to say, guys, there's quite a number of other missing people in the Florida area, other people missing in the Tetons, other murders that have gone on when Brian Laundrie has been around. There's quite a few, more than I can name in this video without doing hours and hours of more research, which I am going to be doing. So I'm going to be looking into more missing people's cases from the Florida area and from the areas that the couple are known to have visited on their road trip across the US. See if I can link any more. As always, guys, you know that I want to know your views, so pop them comments below. Let me know what you think. Do you think Brian has killed more people than Gabby? Do you even think Brian killed Gabby? Because some people don't. Personally, I do. But as I always say, it's just my opinion. But I do think Brian killed Crystal and Kylan. I think he could be responsible for Robert's death. And I do wonder, other than Gabby, who else has he killed? If he has killed all of those people, all 4 of them poor people were murdered by Brian, he's already a serial killer. How long has he been killing? Now, yes, I'm aware that he's 23 years old, but could he have been killing since his late teens? Has he been killing throughout all of his 20s so far? If so, he could have been killing people for 5 years. How many more are out there? Are the police looking into it? I really hope that they are. Now, initially, the Moab Police Department did not tie Brian Laundrie into the deaths of Kylan and Crystal. They didn't say that he was a person of interest. From what I can gather, they've not caught anyone in relation to these poor ladies' deaths. So since the police in Moab claims that Brian wasn't a person of interest, the head of the police department has gone on to temporary leave for an unknown reason, which I find quite interesting. I'll leave it at that. And since then, about 3 or 4 days ago, the Moab Police Department said that Brian Laundrie is being looked into in relation to Crystal and Kylan's deaths. They haven't necessarily said they think it was him, but they're not ruling him out. So a lot of people think that he isn't involved in their deaths because the police ruled him out, but apparently they haven't fully ruled him out. So there's been a bit of a confusion where that lies. I really hope if Brian is responsible for Crystal and Kylan's deaths, the police prove it to be true soon, so their poor families and friends get justice for the loss of these poor 2 women's lives. Well, guys, I'm going to be back with you all very soon with some other videos on the gabbypetito case, and not only that, on the case of missing Summer Wells. In the next few weeks, I do hope to be covering a couple of other cases. Obviously, I will keep updating you on the cases that I have been covering for the last couple of months, especially that of Summer Wells and, of course, that of Gabby I really hope, obviously, that Summer Wells is going to be found. I know that's nothing to do with Gabby, but I also hope that Brian, the Dirty Laundrie, is going to be caught soon. He makes my skin crawl. He's disgusting. He's a joke. He's a poor excuse for a human being. He didn't deserve Gabby, and let's face it, he was punching way above his weight with that girl. He didn't deserve her. She deserved so much better. And I really hope that soon he is caught so justice is done for Gabby, and not just for Gabby, for all of her family and all of her friends. Well, anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed my video today. I hope you will join me for my next video. I hope you're all taking care of one another. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. And as usual, I'm going to be back with you all very soon for another true crime video. Bye for now.